Nobody expected Yandy Smith to walk away. Not after everything she had already survived. Not after years of loyalty, years of endurance. Years of holding a family together through storms that would have destroyed most couples. But the moment Tamar Braxton stepped into that courtroom and Mendeecees' name fell into the wrong sentence, the world shifted, and Yandy felt something inside her snap, not loudly, not dramatically, but with the quiet finality of a door closing for the last time. It wasn't the scandal itself that broke her. It was the hesitation. The silence. The look on Mendeecees' face when Tamar was questioned about him. The 1 second pause that told Yandy everything she needed to know. A pause wasn't guilt. A pause wasn't innocence. A pause was truth leaking through the cracks of a story she had been trying to hold together alone. When court adjourned, Yandy didn't yell. She didn't cry. She didn't confront. She simply stood, gathered her bag, and walked out of that room like a woman who had seen enough. By the time she reached the parking lot, the decision was made. Not out of emotion, not out of spite, out of clarity, because Tamar's testimony didn't create problems, it revealed problems. It revealed the messages Yandy had been questioning. It revealed the distance she'd been feeling. It revealed the loyalty she'd been giving without receiving. And that same night, without waiting for explanations or excuses, Yandy signed the papers she had avoided for far too long. Tamar's courtroom moment didn't steal her marriage. It freed her from it. Yandy Smith knew the moment she stepped into that courtroom that something felt wrong. It wasn't the air. It wasn't the tension. It wasn't even the cameras quietly trying to capture reactions without being obvious. It was Mendeecees. The way he sat, the way he avoided her eyes, the way his shoulders stiffened every time someone mentioned Tamar Braxton's name. For years, Yandy had fought battles for him, legal battles, emotional battles, financial battles, public battles. She had stood by him when most people told her to run. She sold loyalty like armor, wearing it proudly even when it was heavy. But that day, sitting behind him as he adjusted his tie a little too nervously, she realized she didn't feel like his partner. She felt like a witness, and she was about to witness something she couldn't unsee. Tamar walked in late, sunglasses on, hair pinned back, surrounded by a wave of whispers that followed her like perfume. People had been talking for weeks, ever since the rumor sparked that she and Mendeecees had been communicating privately. Tamar had refused to comment. Mendeecees had denied everything. But Yandy didn't need words, she needed the truth. And the truth had been coming for her slowly, drip by drip, long before Tamar ever sat in that witness chair. The judge called Tamar forward. She removed her glasses, sat down, and folded her hands neatly. Yandy watched every detail: her posture, her breath, the tiny quiver in her jaw. Tamar wasn't nervous. She was bracing. The attorney began asking questions unrelated to Yandy or her marriage. But then, as expected, the shift happened. Did you receive any communications from Mendeecees Harris concerning the incident? The room froze. Yandy felt her fingers tighten around her notebook, though she wasn't taking notes. She stared at Mendeecees' back, waiting, hoping he would turn around, look at her, reassure her with a simple glance. He didn't single quotes T.T.A.M.A.R. hesitated. It wasn't long, not even a full second, but it was long enough to split the truth open. Yes. One word, just one. But for Yandy, it was the loudest sentence she had heard in years. The attorney pressed for details. Tamar didn't describe the messages as intimate or inappropriate. She didn't accuse him of anything romantic. But she did say enough to confirm that the contact existed. Contact Yandy had never been told about. It wasn't the content of the messages that hurt her. It was the secrecy. The courtroom continued moving. Questions flowing, Tamar answering calmly. But Yandy didn't hear the rest. Her mind drifted back to every moment over the past few months that suddenly made sense. The nights Mendeecees went into the hallway to talk on the phone. The sudden tension when his phone buzzed, and he flipped it over face down. The excused small ones, harmless ones. The kind that only matter when they pile up, the way he snapped to. Quickly when she asked simple questions, the emotional distance, the physical retreat, the way he had been, existing beside her. Not with her. She wasn't angry. She wasn't heartbroken. She was tired in a way she couldn't explain. Tired in the way someone becomes when they have loved too hard for too long without being poured back into. When court adjourned, Yandy didn't wait for anyone. She stood immediately, her chair barely making a sound. Mendeecees finally turned, reaching for her arm. "Babe." "Wait." She stepped back. "Not here," she whispered. Not here meant not ever again in a space where she had to pretend. Mendeecees saw something shift in her eyes. A finality. A wall he couldn't charm his way through. But instead of explaining himself, instead of apologizing, instead of offering transparency, he said the one sentence that sealed their fate completely. "They're twisting things." Yandy blinked. "They," she repeated. He swallowed. "The attorneys? The rumors. Tamar. Tamar didn't twist anything. Yandy cut him off. She simply confirmed you hid something from me." He exhaled, frustrated. "It wasn't like that." "It was enough like that," she replied softly. She walked past him, feeling lighter than she expected. Outside the courthouse, cameras clicked, microphones turned, producers whispered. People got louder when they saw her coming. But Yandy didn't stop for the circus. She ignored every question and kept walking, not because she wanted to appear strong, but because she was done performing strength for other people. Her driver opened the car door. She slid in and closed it gently, as if refusing to let her exit become another moment for the blogs. She stared out the window as the car pulled away, watching the courthouse shrink behind her. By the time she reached home, she already knew what she was going to do. Not out of impulse, not out of revenge, but out of self-respect. She entered her house, removed her jacket, placed her keys on the counter, and walked straight to her office. She opened the file drawer where she kept personal documents. She pulled out the manila folder her attorney gave her months earlier during a conversation she wasn't ready to have. She placed it on the desk, opened it, and began signing. Her hand didn't shake, daughter. Breath didn't waver. The decision wasn't. Emotionally, it was clear. Yandy had stayed through prison time, gossip, disrespect, rebuilding phases, and every rumor that came their way. But she refused to stay through dishonesty. Not anymore. She finished signing the last page and pressed her hand flat on the paper, grounding herself in the moment. It didn't feel like loss. It felt like relief. Her phone buzzed. Dozens of messages, calls from unknown numbers, rumors already exploding online. Then one message appeared from a number she recognized instantly. "I can explain everything." She didn't open it. She didn't need to. Her life was finally turning toward a future where she wasn't responsible for someone else's mistakes. And for the first time in years, she felt free. The public learned about Yandy's divorce filing before Mendeecees did. He found out the same way everyone else did, through a headline. He was in a barbershop when someone held up their phone and said, "Yo, bro, you seen this?" The words "Yandy Smith files for divorce" flashed across the screen in bold letters. He froze. The room fell silent. For a moment, he thought it was a rumor, another troll account stirring drama. But when he tapped the link and saw the legal timestamp, the quietness around him deepened. She really did it. She truly filed. She didn't threaten it. She didn't warn him. She didn't argue first. She didn't plead. She didn't break down. She filed. Mendeecees left the barbershop without saying a word. He didn't run. He didn't yell. He walked out slowly, like a man carrying a weight that pressed against every side of him. He sat inside his car for 10 minutes before he even turned the engine on. He couldn't believe she was serious. He always believed Yandy would fight for them. He always believed she would protect the marriage. Even when he didn't deserve protecting. In his mind, She was unshakable, untouchable, the anchor he could return to after every storm he never considered she might finally be. "Done?" he called her. No answer. He called again. No answer. He tried texting. Nothing. A single message finally delivered. But it was short and sharp. "Do not call me." Mendeecees stared at the words, exhaling slowly. He'd lost control of the narrative, lost control of the truth, lost control of the one person who kept his reputation intact for years. Something inside him cracked, but instead of sitting with the truth, he did what he always did. He blamed the nearest source of chaos, and this time, that source was Tamar Braxton. He dialed her number. She answered instantly, her voice tired, shaky. "Mendy, I heard. I'm sorry. I didn't mean for any of this too." He cut her off sharply. "What did you do?" Tamar inhaled. "I didn't do anything. I answered a question in court." "You hesitated," he snapped. "You hesitated and made it seem like something happened. That hesitation wasn't about you," Tamar interrupted. "It was about protecting myself. I was under oath, Mendy. I wasn't going to lie." He gripped the steering wheel hard. "You could have said it differently." Tamar's tone shifted. "Don't put this all on me. That marriage wasn't solid long before I said anything." Mendeecees closed his eyes. "Please don't speak on my marriage." Tamar sighed. "Then stop trying to make me responsible for something you broke." Silence. It was the kind that slices. Mendeecees didn't hang up. He didn't scream. He didn't argue. He just breathed through the realization that two women, two very different women, were holding up mirrors he didn't want to see. Meanwhile, miles away, Yandy stood in her kitchen staring at a pot of water on the stove. It wasn't boiling. It wasn't even warm yet. But she stood there anyway, zoning out, letting the hum of silence calm her body. Her kids were at her friend's house for the evening. She didn't want them around the media trucks already parking on her street. She didn't want them hearing the conversations adults would undoubtedly have. She wanted peace for them. Even if she didn't have it for herself, her phone buzzed again. This time it was a call from an unexpected number. "T," she whispered when she answered softly. The voice on the other end wasn't Tamar's. It was Tony Braxton. "Baby," Tony said gently. "Are you okay?" Yandy sat down at the counter. Just hearing Tony's voice, that calm, smooth, musical tone made the tension in her shoulders loosen. "I'm fine," Yandy said quietly. Tony didn't believe her. "No, you're not. And that's okay." Yandy exhaled deeply. "I thought I had more time. I thought maybe he would try. I thought maybe, I don't know what I thought." Tony hummed softly. "Sometimes women spend so much time being strong for others that they don't realize their strength is supposed to protect them too." Yandy felt a tear slip down her face. Tony continued, "You didn't fail. You didn't give up. You simply released something that wasn't holding you anymore." Yandy nodded. She needed to hear that. Needed someone who wasn't tangled in the scandal to remind her she had worth outside of pain. When she hung up, she felt steadier, stronger, grounded, but strength didn't stop the world from spinning around her. Within hours, people online created theories about why she filed. Some blamed Tamar, others blamed Mendeecees. Others blamed Yandy, calling her dramatic or emotional. But none of them knew the truth. Because the truth was this. This divorce didn't begin in court. It began in the small moments. Yandy never shared the moments where she asked for help and received silence. The nights she cried alone while he slept soundly beside her. The times he treated her suspicions like annoyance rather than concern. The way he expected loyalty but didn't give transparency. She wasn't leaving because of Tamar. She was leaving because she had stayed through everything except dishonesty. Later that night, Mendeecees finally came home. He didn't knock. He walked in using his key, something Yandy had forgotten to take back. When she heard the door, she didn't panic. She didn't react emotionally. She simply wiped her cheeks and prepared herself. He entered the kitchen slowly. "Yandy, Please talk to me. She turned to him calmly. There's nothing left to talk about. He stepped closer. I can explain, you can explain why you hid conversations, she said softly. Why you avoided transparency. Why you made me feel like I was losing my mind. Why you didn't protect us when it mattered. His voice cracked. It wasn't like that. It was exactly like that, she replied. He reached for her hand. She pulled it away. This is not a fight, Yandy said. This is the end. He felt his throat close. Yandy, don't do this. Not like this. She shook her head. I'm not doing anything. I'm letting go. That sentence hit him harder than any accusation, because Yandy's power was never in her anger. It was in her composure. She walked past him and headed to the living room, grabbing a box she had packed earlier. Where are you going? He asked. To peace, she answered. He stood there, helpless, watching the woman who had held his life together walk out the door, and this time, she didn't look back. And that was when he finally understood. The scandal didn't destroy his marriage. His choices did, and the consequences had. Finally arrived. The news didn't die down. It didn't fade. It didn't soften. It grew louder, sharper, more invasive, like a wildfire that fed on silence. Mendeecees' silence. Yandy's silence. Tamar's silence. Everyone waited for someone to break, someone to snap, someone to give the internet the explosion it craved. But Yandy didn't give them anything. That alone made people more obsessed. Bloggers refreshed feeds every hour. Fan pages posted theories. Anonymous sources suddenly appeared in comment sections claiming to know what really happened. Producers from shows she had worked with before called repeatedly, begging for interviews, confessionals, sit-down specials. Yandy declined them all. She wasn't running, she was protecting her peace. But peace is hard to hold. When the world keeps knocking at your door, on the third day after filing, Yandy left her home early in the morning, hoping to avoid cameras. She thought she'd go to her favorite park, somewhere quiet, somewhere spacious, somewhere she could breathe without eyes on her. She didn't expect to see Tamar, already there. Tamar stood near the lake in a long hoodie and sunglasses, hands deep in her pockets, shoulders curled inward like she was trying to shrink into herself. She turned when she heard footsteps, and for a moment, the two women simply stared at each other. No hostility, no accusations, just exhaustion. Did you come here to talk? Yandy asked quietly. Talk? Yandy asked quietly. Tamar shook her head. No, just think? Yandy nodded. She understood that. Thinking was the only thing she had been doing. Tamar hesitated, then said, I'm not here to bother you. I can leave. You don't have to. Yandy replied. Just don't lie. Tamar swallowed hard. I haven't lied. Not about the messages. Not about the courtroom. Not about anything. Yandy watched her closely. But you weren't honest either. You let the world believe something that wasn't true. Tamar lowered her head. I wasn't trying to hurt you. I know, Yandy said. But you did. Tamar exhaled shakily, her breath fogging in the crisp air. You don't know what that moment felt like? Being on the stand. Knowing one wrong sentence could turn into a headline. Knowing that anything I said could be twisted. And yet Yandy replied softly, silence can be twisted too. Tamar looked away. I didn't know what to do. I wasn't ready for that question. That's life, Yandy said. It doesn't wait for you to be ready. For a long time, neither of them spoke. The wind rustled through the leaves, the water rippled, and somewhere in the distance, a dog barked. It was peaceful, but heavy. Then Tamar whispered, I wish I could take it back. Yandy nodded. I know. Tamar lifted her head, eyes glistening behind her glasses. But don't leave your marriage because of me, Yandy sighed. Tamar, I didn't leave because of you. I left because he gave me nothing to stay for. Tamar blinked, absorbing that. Yandy continued, your moment in court didn't break us. It exposed him. Exposed how much he'd been hiding. Exposed how little he valued transparency. You didn't end my marriage, he did. Tamar wiped her cheek, trying to hide that she'd been crying. Yandy put her hands in her pockets. If you want to fix something, fix the story out there. Not for me, for yourself. Tamar nodded silently, unable to speak. After a few minutes, Yandy walked away. She didn't storm off. She didn't turn it into a dramatic exit. She simply left because there was nothing left to say. When she reached her car, she saw another message from Mendeecees. This one was longer, desperate. Yandy, please don't do this. I know I messed up. I know I hid things. I didn't cheat, I was scared you'd be mad about the messages. I handled it wrong. I don't want to lose you. Please don't throw years away like this. Yandy's fingers hovered over the screen. She could have replied. She could have engaged. She could have let him talk her into circles instead. She powered her phone off. She was done living on his timelines, done living in his explanations, done living in moments where she was expected to shrink so he could feel big. Meanwhile, Mendeecees was unraveling. He paced through the house like a caged man, replaying the moment she walked past him. He went from anger to confusion to regret to panic. He kept blaming Tamar, then himself, then the internet, then Yandy's pain, then his own pride. He wasn't used to consequences sticking to him. Yandy had always helped soften the blow. She had been his shield, his voice of reason, his cleanup crew. This time, she wasn't cleaning. She was leaving the mess where it belonged with him. Friends stopped by his house. Some checked on him. Some told him to give Yandy space. Others told him to fight harder. But none of them told him the truth. He needed to hear that he had been playing with trust like it was expandable, like it would always stretch instead of snap. That evening, as the sun dipped behind the buildings, Tamar went live. Not with dramatics, not with tears, not with hints or subtext, with truth. She spoke calmly, clearly, and directly. She said exactly what happened, exactly what didn't happen, and exactly what needed to be corrected. She didn't blame Yandy. She didn't blame the court. She didn't even blame Mendeecees. She blamed the silence, the rumors, and the assumptions. And for the first time in days, the internet paused. Yandy watched the live stream from her bedroom. She didn't smile. She didn't feel vindicated. She didn't feel victorious. She felt settled, like the final loose thread had finally been tied off. After Tamar finished, comments flooded in. Some praised her honesty. Some still tried to twist her words. But it didn't matter anymore. Yandy wasn't in the storyline. She was free of it. Late that night, her daughter padded into her room with a blanket and climbed onto the bed beside her. "Mommy," she whispered, "are you sad?" Yandy thought about that. She thought about the years she poured into someone who poured uncertainty back. She thought about the secrecy, the distance, the emotional weight she had carried alone. She thought about the courage it took to finally sign those papers. And she answered honestly, "No," she whispered. "I'm relieved." Her daughter cuddled into her side. "Good. I want you to be happy." Yandy wrapped an arm around her gently. "I will be," she said softly, and she meant it. Outside, the world continued speculating, theorizing, twisting the story into 1,000 shapes. But inside her home, the one she built, the one she protected, Yandy felt something she hadn't felt in a long way. Long time. Peace, not the kind people pretend to have on social media, the real kind. The kind that comes when a woman finally stops fighting for something that refuses to fight for her. The kind that comes when she chooses herself. And from here on out, that choice would guide every step she made. If there's one thing this entire story proved, it's that a woman can only carry someone else's weight for so long before she finally chooses herself. Yandy Smith didn't walk away because of a headline. She didn't walk away because of a rumor. She didn't walk away because of Tamar's testimony. She walked away because the truth inside her home had become louder than the noise outside it. Sometimes the moment that pushes you forward isn't the cause, it's the confirmation. And Tamar's courtroom hesitation confirmed what Yandy already knew in her spirit. The marriage he had been fighting for had stopped fighting for her. Her filing wasn't a reaction. It wasn't a stunt. It wasn't anger. It was clarity. It was a woman finally giving herself permission to stop surviving and start living. Someone else's chaos didn't break her. It freed her, Tamar. On the other hand, learned that silence can be just as destructive as a lie. By clearing the air, she reclaimed her own story, even if it came late. And Mendeecees. He learned the hardest truth of all. Loyalty is not guaranteed, just because someone has given it to you for years. If this story resonated with you, share it. If it made you think about the power of choosing yourself, talk about it. And if you're ready for the next explosive fictional storyline, the next scandal, the next twist, the next title ready for transformation, just send me the name and I'll build the entire saga.